Hi everyone, thank you for tuning in on my channel. So today we have a very special guest, a very sweet special guest, Emily. This is my baby. She's currently 7 weeks old as I'm filming this, and I wanted to do a labor story to share my experience and my story. Hopefully it can help some of you out there who are expecting, or maybe you're just interested in other people's labor story just like I was. And yeah, but before we get to it, if you're new to my channel, don't forget to click that subscribe button so you don't miss any of my future videos. Also follow me on Instagram at heyamadea and byamadea, especially if you wanna follow the update of this cutie pie. So now let's get to the story. First and foremost, this is Emily. We call her Millie, and she was born on June 24th, 2020 at 4:35 p.m. So it was a Wednesday, and my expected due date was July 2nd. So she was born nearing my expected due date, which is good. I was just about 39 weeks at the time. So she was born on a Wednesday afternoon. The weekend before that, on Saturday, we went to the beach because I really wanted to take Murphy, our dog, to the beach for the very first time. And I thought once the baby is here, we would be so busy and we would have no time. So we made the time before she was born to take Murphy to the beach because I just wanted to. I treated Murphy as my baby, as you all probably know if you follow Murphy on Instagram. And so we took him to the beach. It was a fun time, and the following Monday we took Murphy to the mall for the very first time. I haven't been to the mall for a long time, and that time, I don't know, that day seemed to be a good day compared to others. I don't know why. So we took Murphy to the beach, not to the beach, to the mall on the Monday. And on the following Tuesday at 2 a.m. I woke up with this stomach pain, and then I went to the bathroom because I thought, oh, maybe it's something I ate or something like that. I thought I had diarrhea, so I went to the bathroom. Nothing came out, so I went back to sleep. But then half an hour later, I woke up again, and then I felt the same pain. I went to the bathroom, nothing happened. So it went on a couple of times. I was really slow. I gotta tell you that, because I didn't realize that it was a contraction until after a while. So I think around 3 or 4 about a couple of hours later, I realized, oh, it's probably a contraction, because it didn't feel painful, but it was uncomfortable. It's just like cramps. So I woke my husband up, and then I told him about the pain, the contraction, and then we ended up calling our hospital and asking. So the nurse who picked up the phone asked a bunch of different questions, but basically she said it's not time yet. So she told me just to keep track of my contraction, and then just to try to relax myself as much as I can and go back to sleep. So I did. I went back to sleep, and then the contraction just came on and off for every hour. It just came I think I would say every from 5 to 15 minutes. So it happened consistently, but it didn't happen like every 5 minutes or every 3 minutes or so, like that. So hey baby, so the timing is very erratic, so it's very sporadic, but I was just in constant pain throughout the day. But I still remember that Tuesday afternoon I could still take a nap, so I could still bear the contraction at that time, and we still even went to Target. I know, looking back, I was crazy. I went to Target, and I remember going to Target with my contraction with my husband, and the contraction, I think at that time, was just 7 minutes apart, and I was just walking, and then when the contraction came, I was like, I would stop, and then I would okay, and then I just continue walking like nothing nothing happened, right baby? Like nothing happened. It was crazy. So it was, I think by that time when I went to Target, it was already like Tuesday afternoon around 5 or 6 p.m. and the contraction just getting worse after from Target. And then but I just kept at it because there's nothing I could do, right? Just waited it out. And then until finally when I kept track, the contraction was about 5 minutes apart, and then it was about 45 seconds, last for 45 seconds, and we call our hospital again. And by that time it was already the following day around 3 a.m. and we called the hospital, and the nurse basically told me it's either, there are two options that I had. Either I come there and they decide whether it is really a real contraction or not, or if not they will send me back, or I waited out until the contraction is 3 minutes apart. And I thought at that time, okay, I don't want to be sent back home if it's not real contraction. So I told her, okay, I'll wait it out, and until 3 minutes apart, until the contraction becomes 3 minutes apart. But the thing is, it never became 3 minutes apart. The contraction was always maybe 4 minutes apart, 5 minutes apart. And then I have to, it's already, by that time it's already been 24 hours since my first contraction. So I was in pain, I was tired, I was exhausted, but I couldn't go to sleep because I was in pain. So I asked the nurse if I could take maybe something like a sleeping aid. I was desperate by at that point, sleeping aid or something that could help me sleep. And she said I could take like a Benadryl, or and then at that time I was coughing, so I took this cough medicine, which was okay, but it was a nighttime, so it has like a drowsy effect. So it helped me fall asleep, but at that time it was around 3:30, I think. By that time I think it was 3:30, and I took that, and then it helped me become sleepy, and then I was almost asleep. I was half asleep when I felt suddenly a gush of water coming out down there. Luckily though, I already put like a layer of towels and pads underneath, on top of the bed, so my bed is fine. But yeah, I felt that. I felt a gush of water, and then I could finally say my water broke. And it was, I feel like it was like a revelation moment for me. Like, this is what it felt like, a gush of water. People said like when you watch it in the movies, like the water just splashed. It didn't happen like that for me. And even the doctor and the nurse said that what they showed us in the movies are lies. But yeah, it's interesting experience that my water broke, because not everybody's water broke when they're in labor. So when the water broke, I woke my husband up immediately. We were in panic mode at the time, and we called the hospital again, and she basically said yes to come in. And then as my husband got getting ready, I changed my clothes and everything. I waited him to get everything ready. A second session of the water broke, and I was sitting on top of the yoga ball, and yeah, everything just came out suddenly. A second set of gushing of water. It was an interesting experience. And then as we were ready to leave, I remember our dog Murphy, he didn't know what was going on. He was sleeping in the living room. As we walking out, I looked him in the eye, and I felt really bad, because I really wish that I could explained to him, this is what's happening, don't be afraid, don't be scared. And but he just didn't understand, and he cried when we left him. Our friend had to pick him up in the morning. Yeah, but it was, I don't know, it was pretty sad leaving him, even though it's just for a moment, right baby? Right. Okay, so we went there. As we got into the car, I called my mom. My mom is not here because of COVID-19. My parents cannot fly here, which is very sad. So it was pretty scary. It was just me and my husband. As we checked in the hospital, we were pretty nervous. And as we got there, they basically checked if no water really broke. So it did really break. And then they checked how dilated I was. I was about 3 centimeters dilated, and they checked me in. They moved me to a second room, like to a labor room, where I waited until I was fully dilated. And they also asked me what my plan for pain management was, and I looked at the doctor and I was like, epidural, because at that time, by that time, the contraction was really painful, and I don't think I would ever be able to go through the pain of childbirth without epidural. It's just crazy for me. I know other people can, but I just couldn't, and it's too painful for me, and to be very honest. And so the next thing I know, the anesthesiologist came, give me epidural, and about 25 minutes after that, everything went very peaceful. It felt like, because I couldn't feel anything down there, so I didn't even feel the contraction anymore. But after the epidural though, I just became very sleepy. I think the epidural plus the drowsy medication that I took about at 4 a.m. because of the cough medicine to help me sleep, it just made me very sleepy. So I was just basically drowsy the whole, I don't know how many hours, I think about 12-ish hours of waiting it out. I just basically asleep. And it also made, I think according to them, it made her, the baby, was kind of sleepy inside, and she just wouldn't move. So because I was just sleeping all the time, they had the nurse, I still remember the name of the nurse, Nurse Sue. She was very dedicated, she was very kind, she was very patient. She guided me through the whole process, and she stayed with me until Emily was born. I am forever grateful of her, because she had to check on me every hour because I was asleep all the time. She had to turn me from one side to another to make sure that I at least move, and if I move, it will help the baby move a little bit. And there was one point that they had to put oxygen mask on me to help to give more oxygen to the baby, because I think it's probably because it's been a while since my water broke, but I wasn't fully dilated. And then I think around the afternoon, around 4 p.m. or something like that, the doctor came to check on me, and he basically told me the possibility of having a C-section because it's just been so long and I wasn't fully dilated. And she said if I'm not fully dilated in the next couple of hours, they had to do C-sections just to be safe. I think that's the safest option. And I remember thinking, because I was still drowsy, I remember thinking, okay, sure, whatever. But I remember at the back of my mind, I really wanted a natural childbirth. But if really C-section was the best way to go, then so be it. But then when they checked how dilated I was, suddenly they checked, oh, I'm fully dilated, and it was time for me to push. By that time, I wasn't sleepy anymore. I was awake, fully awake, but I just prepared myself. God help me get through this. Even though with epidural I couldn't really feel anything, so when I pushed, I really don't know what I was pushing. Like, I know I'm pushing something, but I couldn't really feel anything. So thank God for Nurse Sue, because she helped me. I push every time there's a contraction, even though I couldn't feel the contraction. And she even offered me if I wanted to see a mirror. And I think that looking at the mirror really helped motivate me, because I really could see the process. I could see her head coming out little by little. Yeah, and thank God, for me the pushing just lasts about an hour.